It's not who gets in the first word that counts, but who gets in the last word. Now, the guys that always get in the last word, brothers Tom and Dave.
You come in here with a skull full of mush, and if you survive, you leave thinking like a lawyer.
Hey, welcome to our Monday the 16th edition.
That is correct.
Of the last word. The White Sox have opened at home, and we need to get through a few things really quick before we get to our guest. One, the news in Florida has been very disheartening over the last few weeks, so we need to bring something from Florida to settle your tummies. So a group of Florida senior citizens were sitting around talking about their ailments. My arms are so weak I can hardly hold this cup of coffee, said one. Yeah, I know. My cataracts are so bad I can't even see my coffee, said another. I can't turn my head because of the arthritis in my neck, said a third, to which several nodded weakly in agreement. My blood pressure pills make me dizzy, claimed another. Well, I guess that's the price we pay for getting old, winced an old man as he shook his head. There was a moment of silence. Well, it's not that bad, said one woman cheerfully. Thank God we can still all drive. Now, we have a public health announcement for our listeners.
That's right. This is important. Be prepared.
For all of you people concerned about your health. In a number of carefully controlled trials, scientists have demonstrated that if we drink 1 liter of water each day, at the end of the year, we will have absorbed more than 1 kilo of Escherichia coli, E. coli, bacteria found in feces. In other words, we are consuming 1 kilo of poop. However, we do not run that risk when drinking wine, rum, whiskey, beer, or other liquors because alcohol has to go through a purification process of boiling, filtering, and or fermenting. Remember, water equals poop, wine equals health. Therefore, it is better to drink wine and talk stupid than to drink water and be full of There's no need to thank Dave and me in the last word. We are providing this health spot as a public service.
And pass it on to your friends. Now, that always made me wonder, Tom, on the old sailing ships, you got the back of the wasn't the back of the deck the highest thing?
The fantail? Oh, the poop deck?
The poop deck.
There was a reason it was called poop deck.
There was a reason. And then you just shoveled it back into the sea at the end of the. That's right. At the end of the ship, I think is why we had.
And now, because we don't want to keep our listeners waiting, our tease for the rest of the show. Mind trap.
You shameless tease.
That's right.
You hustle you.
The mind trap question for today. The maker doesn't want it, the buyer doesn't use it, and the user doesn't see it. What is it? You'll get the answer 5 minutes from now, 15 minutes, maybe near the end of the show, but you'll have to stay with us in order to get the answer to the question for Mind Trap. And now, if you'll do the honors, little brother.
Well, we'd like to introduce actually, we have a living piece of Chicago history sitting in this today. As a matter of fact, my understanding is that when he passes on, they're going to do taxidermy on him and put him in the Chicago history of
they may have done it already. I think it's already been done.
I'd like to introduce fellow attorney John Rosich, who has the law firm of Rosich in Naperville, Illinois.
Tongue twister.
Yes, that name. Yes, but that makes people remember it.
Oh yeah. And spell it.
And we're going to be a little more lighthearted with a little bit of the show over here today. We are going to be talking a little bit about baseball. Last week, the White Sox started their season. And, John, your claim to fame, your historical claim to fame with the Chicago baseball scene.
I had my 15 minutes of celebrity status for a 5-year period of time from 1956 until 1960 as bat boy for the Well, they weren't the world champion White Sox, but they were the
made
Chicago
close.
White Sox, and they were the American League champion White Sox in 1959.
In that magical year of the Go-Go White Sox.
Oh, the years of the Go-Go White Sox.
That's right. And Tom, you have something special. You, let's see, you were like 9. You were really up until the years of then. You were 9 years.
I
Yeah.
saw John. John didn't see me, but I saw John on opening day of 1960. A friend of mine, his dad got tickets for the game, and we sat in right field, and we watched the opening day of 1960 when we watched Jerry Staley come in at the end and shut those people down for a White Sox win to start off the 1960 season.
That was my last year. Jerry Staley, Turk Brown were the two closers. We didn't have what do they call them? Middle closers and final closers. We didn't have that.
He's got a special.
We just had relief pitchers.
I need a rant and a rave on that one.
Okay.
And that was a time when baseball players did not make big money.
No.
And they used to have to get jobs in the off season to make ends meet.
Car salesman.
Oh, I remember, and I understand inflation being what it is, but I remember the big headlines when Mickey Mantle signed for $100,000.
Wasn't that like 1967 or something?
No, it was in the early 60s.
Before that.
But what I'm getting at is you've got spring training was in fact spring training to get yourself into shape.
Right. They came to spring training out of shape.
And if you couldn't go 9 innings, you were a wuss.
Oh, everybody pitched 9 innings.
Yeah. And now you've got a superbly conditioned athlete who gets multi-millions of dollars. He's got personal trainers. He's got a gym in his basement and everything else. And you say, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a good 6 innings out of our starters.
Mark Burley for the White Sox. They thought he was great because he pitched more 6-inning games than anyone had in years.
And I was not a big fan of Captain Hook.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand the concept of bringing in a closer who's fresh and like Gossage or Raleigh Fingers are all of them who could bring the heat for the 1 inning. And I can understand that. From a percentage standpoint, it'll increase your chances of shutting the other team down. But this idea of, if I can get 6 innings and we bring in the middle relievers, I just don't understand what happened to the game.
6 innings, 100 pitches.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. He's at 101 pitches, and here comes the manager.
Here he comes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because what? I mean, of course, nowadays they come in and the manager comes to take the pitcher out, right? He has to relieve the pitcher because the pitcher can't relieve himself, right?
Yes.
At least not on the mound. How did you get to be the bat boy? That I think our listeners would like to know that.
Well, I would say I was persistent.
Okay.
The people around the ballpark probably said I was a pain in the neck.
Aiming higher than
back then, you would mean.
I was a kid. I was from about the time I was 9 or 10 years old. We lived in a neighborhood near White Sox Park, and so I would go to ball games. I'd get there during the summer. I'd get there really early, so I didn't have to pay to get in. I'd walk around the stands. I'd ask for autographs. I'd take pictures.
Cool.
I'd ask for cracked bats.
Nobody asked you for $20 for the autograph either.
Well, no, they did not. They signed them willingly, and I got to know everybody. I knew the ushers. I knew the cook in the kitchen, the chef in the bar room. I knew the
kid's dream.
Oh, it was great.
Gosh.
I was there all the time.
Wow.
When school started, I'd usually get out at 3:00 in the afternoon and walk over to the ballpark and get in after the 7th inning. And while I was there, I was always asking, "How can I be bat boy? When can I be bat boy?" And the bat boy at the time was a boy named Joey Rosich, who lived in the White Sox neighborhood there. He had the job, and he said, finally in 1955, he said, this is going to be my last year. Ask Sharkey. Sharkey was the clubhouse boy.
Jack?
No. Sharkey's real name was Ephraim Coolidge.
Oh, Sharkey Coolidge. That's right.
And there were 2 Sharkeys. One worked the clubhouse for the visiting team. That was Art Sharkey Coolidge, and Ephraim Sharkey Coolidge did the White Sox. Ephraim was about 71 years old at the time, and he weighed about 110 pounds. He was the clubhouse manager. So I spoke to him, and I said, can I have the job? And he said, sure, come back next April. Joey's not going to be here. You can have the job. And so that was how it started. There were a couple of bumps between the end of the season and the beginning of the next year in April, but I still managed to do it, and I think we're running a little short on time to finish that story.
Oh no, we've got lots of time, John. I appreciate your concern with our super duper clock because we don't want to get cut off, but we do.
There's a little more to that story.
Yeah, we want it.
It's a very heart-wrenching part of it, actually.
Well,
there's always some bumps until you
there were some
make
bumps.
it to the top. Make it to the top of the mountain.
There were some bumps.
There has to be some bumps, but at least unlike Walter Jacobson, he got to at least to be the bat boy in the World Series.
A winning team. Walter was on the wrong side of town. He still is.
And we're going to find out more about the gut-wrenching problems of being a new bat boy right after these words.
Now, back to the show with the brothers that always have the last word, Tom and Dave.
All right. Dave's grooving right now.
Yeah, baby.
That's a great sound.
We are back with our guest for today, John Rosich, who was a bat boy for the 59 White Sox, as well as times prior thereto and 1 year subsequent thereto, as we in the legal profession would say. And John, you were telling us the first year you got the job, it was kind of...
There were a few bumps in the road after having been promised the job in September. And being persistent as I was at the age of 11 years old, that year I sent a letter to Sharkey at White Sox Park and to a fellow by the name of Ernie Carroll, who was the chef in the barge room. I had met Ernie. We used to sit and watch the games together. And he would buy ice cream cones and popcorn for me.
Well, those were the days.
Oh, it was really. It was well. I was there every day with him. He was there getting paid. I was there just having fun.
But can you imagine trying to get into the White Sox today?
Oh, well,
come on.
Yeah, it would be horrible. Couldn't do it.
Fun to see your papers.
So I write him a letter and I say, please remind Sharkey. And I write to Sharkey, remember, Sharkey, I'm going to have the job. And so I was pleased to get a phone call in early April saying that the team is going to be here tomorrow and we need you at the ballpark to unload the truck and clean up the clubhouse. And so I'm excited. I've got my job. I get to the White Sox Park. We unload the truck, and the next day we played the Cubs, or 2 days later we played the Cubs in the City Series. At that time, we always had a City Series. At the beginning of the year, we played one game White Sox Park, and then one game across town at Cubs Park. And so I was there, and I worked that first game at White Sox Park as the bat boy, and my dream has come true, and it's just wonderful. And the next day, we had to be there very early in the morning. We loaded these big bags with all the players' shoes and gloves and clothes into a open air pickup truck, big truck. There was no room for me in the coach in the cab, so I was in the back under as we drove across town under these bags, keeping warm. Got to Cubs Park, worked Cubs Park. Came home, and that evening I was told that I no longer would have the job.
Oh.
Ouch.
Oh.
The announcer by the name of Harry Creighton had a nephew, and Harry Creighton's nephew wanted the job, and Harry Creighton had more influence than I.
Well, it's a city of clout.
And Harry Creighton's nephew got the job. And so opening day was against Cleveland. Harry Creighton's nephew was there to be the bat boy, and I got to the game after the seventh inning, and I watched him carry the bats up the stairs and into the clubhouse, and I tried to trip him. Figured he could be on IR immediately.
They have unemployment company? No, that wouldn't be an unemployment.
And so he worked that, and they left town. And then they came back about a week later, and before they started playing, I got a call one night from Ernie Carroll, and Ernie said, Sharkey wants you back, and you need to be there tomorrow to, guess what, unload the truck and clean up the lockers and shine the shoes. And I said, I don't think so. I said, let Harry Creighton's nephew do that. And he said, no, they don't want Harry Creighton's. They want you to be back, and they want you to do this. I said, no, I'm not going to come in because last time I came in, I cleaned the shoes, and then all of a sudden, I got fired. And he said, no, for sure. So I went in, and they didn't fire me after I cleaned the shoes, and they kept me there for 5 years. It was just a great experience. I mean, every kid's dream. As you can attest to, you were watching me.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's right. He saw him on TV. With those old TV cameras where they were always they only had about 2 or 3 TV cameras, right. I think, with that big far. When I used to watch it at home in the 60s, I mean, the fields on TV, because of the lenses at the time, they looked so big. I mean, a baseball park almost looked as big as a football field. It's like, oh my God, it's going to take forever for him to get from there, from hitting the ball to first base.
Well, the 59 World Series, the 59 World Series was played in a football field.
That's right. At the Coliseum.
Yeah,
Coliseum.
Right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was big. And there were 100,000 people.
You made that trip, didn't you?
Made that trip. Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
I bet.
Caused me to flunk trigonometry my senior year.
That was worth it, though.
Oh, yeah. I lost the book, and I took the book along with me for the road trip, but I left it at the hotel.
Let's talk about players from a real people standpoint, because everybody only sees them on the field, and they never get to know them as people.
And this is before the time, obviously, of the internet, where you can pry and everybody's out there as stars, and you got the chance to be with them.
Because I'm talking Bob Elson with our starting lineup, Louis Aparicio at short, Nellie Fox at second batting second, Jim Landis, number one
you've
in
got
center
it. You're
field.
good.
Yes,
number 4 hitter was.
Early in the season, I think it was Earl Torgerson. Later on, it became Kluszewski with the cutoff sleeves.
Good.
And we had Sherm Lawler behind the plate, Al Smith in left field, Jim Rivera in right, Billy Goodman at third, and our starting pitcher is either Early Wynn, Dick Donovan, Billy Pierce,
or Bob Shaw.
So you're
You're good.
John,
You're good. I'm impressed.
No, you were just brought in as a prop so he could show off.
Oh, yeah.
That he knows the full.
I can attest there are no notes here. That was good.
That's
Can you give me their numbers?
Oh, Shaw was 35. Wynn was 24.
Oh, good. Number 2.
Number 2 was Nellie Fox.
19.
Billy Pierce.
19.
Lawler was 10. Esposito was 14.
Oh, you're good. Bubba Phillips.
Bubba Phillips was 8. No. Was he 6? 5 or 6? 5. Sammy and Billy Goodman was 6. Mm-hmm. Al Smith was. I could see the beer getting poured on his head.
Oh, that famous picture, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could have been 9. Minnie Minoso had been 9, and so I think when Al Smith came in, he had 9.
And Jim Rivera was number 7.
Yeah, he ran for president in 28, didn't he, Al Smith?
Al Smith, yes, he did.
Jerry Staley was 21.
Didn't get enough of your family for the holidays? Here's 2 brothers you can always count on for the last word. Tom and Dave.
Now, you have to have been around in Chicago back during the Cold War to know what that was.
And why we are playing it. And what's its relevance?
That was
to
a Tuesday at 10:30 occurrence.
P.M.
No.
A.M.?
Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. You heard the sirens going off and
all over Chicago.
All over Chicago, and you'd crawl under the next desk, sticking your butt towards the window.
You'd duck and cover.
But,
air raid siren.
But the air raid siren had one specific significance, and that was because Fire Commissioner Quinn
of Chicago at the time
decided that after the Sox were leading by a slim margin in the bottom of the 9th at Cleveland, and it was 1 out, and Jerry Staley came in to pitch. He throws 1 pitch, guy hits a ground ball, Sox turn a double play, they won the pennant, and Robert Quinn decided to celebrate by setting off the air raid sirens.
Except there was one little problem. He didn't tell anybody in the city he was going to do it.
So he was celebrating, and half the city thought that the Soviets
only the Cubs have. Only the Cubs have. The White Sox have right. On the south side. We knew what it was.
The south side.
The Southsiders. Yeah,
that's
we're from the south side. I can say that without trying.
There you go.
You know, considering the fact that yesterday was the anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, April 15th, 1902, just a friendly jab in the ribs reminder.
Yes.
Reminder to the Cubs.
On behalf of our listeners, they're going to be gone after this.
That the last time that the Cubs won the World Series, the keel to the Titanic wasn't even laid.
Are they going to finish out the season?
With the Titanic?
Maybe. I hope you have no Cub listeners.
Well, we do.
Not anymore, anyway.
Not anymore. We just turned them off after that one.
We want to end our tease for today on the mind trap question and then get back to John. The mind trap question was, the maker doesn't want it, the buyer doesn't use it, and the user doesn't see it. What is it? And the answer is a coffin. So, if you thought it was anything else,
Do you do those often?
once a show,
Oh, good. I'll listen next time.
you fall into the mind trap.
Now we'd like to give our fellow longtime friend a plug here that your professional career now is with Rosich and Rosich, attorneys at law, with you and your wife. And that is located...
The lovely Carolyn.
Lovely Carolyn, located in Naperville, Illinois, with your offices at 214 South Washington Street in Naperville. And the phone number is 630-355-5222. And
Specializing in what we euphemistically call
Family law.
Family law. That happy sound.
Yes, family
law.
law.
Which actually means divorce, okay? And you do some family law, estate planning, and real estate.
Correct.
So,
well, thank you for
you out there
the plug.
That's quite all right.
Oh, John, you've actually you got some kudos. You were named a super lawyer, I believe.
Super lawyer. This is my third time as super lawyer. I was 2006, 2007, and now 2012.
We got to get him a costume. We got to get the big R on the thing, the cape and everything.
I have one that says S.
Super
lawyer.
Right. Super lawyer.
What the hell were you thinking of? Stupid letters.
When I advise somebody how much the fee is, that's when I wear the S. Yeah.
And you're a fellow at the
of the Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers.
So certainly, if you're going to go to John for help in those areas, please by all means consider John and hiring John if you were having those types of legal problems.
Besides, who else can you go to your friends and say, my lawyer was a bad boy for the 59 White Sox?
Yes.
What was Al Lopez like?
Al Lopez was a great guy. Great guy. In fact, when he came there, he took a liking to me and asked if I would be his secretary. And I handled all of his fan mail. And
I bet you there was a lot back then.
He got a lot of fan mail, and a lot of kids would write to him, and they'd send him pictures of baseball cards for him to sign and send back to him. And so I was the one responsible for doing all of that. And sometime he wasn't available to sign, and I had acquired a skill.
Forgery. John, as a lawyer, you've got to remember, though. I mean,
statute of limitations.
Does not apply.
It's perfect timing. Yeah, statute of limitations. I used to sell Mickey Mantle autographs. When Mickey was playing in Boston, and somebody would come in and say, "Can you get me Mickey's autograph?" I'll go in the clubhouse and get it, and I'd come out with a Mickey Mantle autograph. They were worth $10. They were worth $10, and that was a ton of money.
Confess that if this is the time of confession, I'll confess that one time when I was a clerk for Charlie Fleck downtown in the city, I was the court clerk. He was gone for the day, so I decided to go sit in his chambers, prop my feet up on the desk. And all of a sudden, some lawyer comes in. He looks at me. He must have never been before Fleck, and I just couldn't resist it. He goes. He asked me some question about a procedural matter, not a substantive. And I, excuse me, Judge, can I help you? Yes. And then he goes, "That's right. If you don't do it, if you don't follow it this way, I'll deny it." So there, I'll get in the same hot water that you. I'll be in hot water with you too, Jan. Okay?
Judge Dave.
That's right. That's right. That is absolutely right.
But
so
Al was a good guy.
True confessions.
Al was an excellent guy. In
true
fact,
confessions over here.
One of the things that I received in his mail was a letter from Ty Cobb during the World Series.
Ooh. Oh, wow.
And I can tell you what happened in that letter.
And that's what we're going to have. We're going to
find out about that letter on the flip side.
Yeah, I'm still crying about it.
So we have to find out why John is crying. Here at The Last Word, WIND 560 AM, your place for intelligent talk.
7.
Good. You're good.
That was when I didn't have a lot on my hard drive, and that was important to me, and it's still on my hard drive.
Yeah, it's amazing that you can remember that.
So,
but to someone of Tom's age at the time, being 9, they were bigger than life, as they should be. I think that was the fun of baseball back then, where these people were. They were bigger than life,
and they were great people. They were wonderful. They were friendly. They were warm. They were humble.
Well, that's what we want you to share with us.
They didn't
the life.
As you said, they didn't charge for an autograph. Kids needed something. They were there every year. The White Sox team went to Back of the Yards fair, and which they put on a program for children who were disabled. That got very little press. Just the way they befriended me. I was part of the team. I was just a kid, and I felt like wherever they went, I went, and I was one of them. On a road trip, the first road trip I went on was in 1957. Pat boys had not gone on trips prior to that time. That was also the year I got a raise, and I could tell you a little bit about that too. Mm-hmm. But I got on. We were on a train. I'd never been on a train. I didn't know about a club car. And the traveling secretary came into our
Eddie
room.
Short?
No, it was it could have been Eddie Short. It might have been Bernie Snyderworth. I think it was Bernie. And he came into our room. He gave us some meal money, and that was an incredible amount of money. It was 10 times the amount of money that my parents had given me for the 14 days that we were gone. and he said, go to the club car. So I went to the club car, and we sat down with Billy Pierce and Nellie Fox. And Billy Pierce gave me $10, and he said, here, buy something nice for your mother. And Nellie Fox gave me $10, and he said, here, buy something nicer for her. And they were wonderful. I mean, and he wasn't being unkind to Billy. The two of them were roommates, and they were great friends. And but they were just so comfortable with people, and they didn't feel like they were celebrities and needed special treatment.
Hey, who was owner of the team?
At which point?
Chuck Comiskey at that time.
No, but then we had
Bill Veeck.
Bill Veeck. So when did Bill Veeck come in?
Bill Veeck came in, I think, in '58. He bought it from what happened that there'd been a little problem in the Comiskey family, and
called death, I think.
Well, yeah, and Chuck's sister owned a controlling share. And so she sold her share and effectively Chuck Comiskey's share to Bill Veeck.
Now Veeck, did Veeck not invent, but come up with the exploding scoreboard? Was that a Veeck idea?
Yes. And having a circus appear during doubleheaders on Sunday and all sorts of, there was a midget in St. Louis, he did that.
Eddie Goodell?
Yeah, Eddie Goodell. There were all sorts of promotions, every game almost.
So the tradition, you witnessed and were part of the start of the tradition, the exploding scoreboard.
Exactly. And fireworks after games.
Oh, and fireworks after games, which is another tradition that is still being
As Bob Elson would say, come on, join us this weekend when the Yankees come in on Friday night, Saturday, and a big Sunday doubleheader.
As I smoke a White Owl cigar.
Whatever happened to doubleheaders. And we'll be back after news, weather, and whatever.
On WIND 560 with the last word.
They're lawyers, so you know they'll always have the last word. Here's Tom and Dave.
Okay, we're back with our guest, John Rosich, and one of the things that you didn't do, little brother, is you didn't tell people that if they want to email us, you email us at thelastword@yahoo.com.
Yeah, so you didn't either, so what?
Yeah, but I brought it up first now, so that makes you look bad. I'm sorry.
Big brother, you remember? All you little brothers out there, yeah, you know what's going on. You know what the treatment is like from the big brother.
So if you you like what you hear, you have a comment, you want to let us know. If you we're available for confirmations and bar mitzvahs and other events and things like that. So the last word at Yahoo. yahoo.com. John, you're talking about your first road trip.
Yes.
How did that come about? Because you said Bat Boys didn't used to make the road trips before.
Nope, not for the White Sox.
Oh.
However, they did for Cleveland and New York and Kansas City. And they came to Chicago, and I found out that they went on road trips. I did not. I found out how much money they made, and I did not. And so I...
Well, that was under Old Man Comiskey, right?
It was under Young Comiskey.
Oh, Young Comiskey.
It was Young Comiskey
Was he as tight as the old man?
Well, I'll tell you how tight he was. You decide. I thought he was a great guy at the time,
Okay.
and in retrospect, I still think he was.
Okay.
George Avgaris.
Yes.
George lives in Chuck's old house in Hinsdale.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. On County Line Road.
Oh, Chuck was a great guy. Chuck was a great guy, but I wanted to do a road trip, and I wanted to get a raise. And so naturally, I talked to my boss, Sharkey. I said, can I go on a road trip? And Sharkey said, no, you have to talk to Chuck Comiskey. I said, I'm not going to talk to Chuck Comiskey. I'm the bat boy for you. I just want to go. I was getting $2 a game. I want to go from $2 up. And I'd like to go on a road trip. I'll talk to my friend Al Lopez, who had just started as manager that year. Yep. And so I talked to Al, and he said, "No, you have to talk to Chuck Comiskey." I figured I'm not going to do that, so I talked to all the ball players. We'd be out in the outfield, and I'd be saying, "How do I get to go on a road trip?" But you have to talk to Chuck Comiskey. So finally, one Friday afternoon, I went up to the executive suite of offices, and I walked in the long hall, sort of like a hall that's reminiscent of something you'd see in that movie with Jack Nicholson.
Oh,
The Shining. Yes, I think there's a long hall, and
here's Johnny.
Yes, and
here's Johnny. That's
yes.
right.
So I
Did you bring your ex?
No, I did not. I was scared, but I walked past Comiskey's office about a half a dozen times, one way, then the other, one way, and he was in there the whole time. And every time I went past, I looked in, and his office got bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, on one of my trips past his office, he was at the door, and he said, "John, do you want to talk to me?" Yeah, Chuck. He said, "Well, come into my office." So we went into his office. He went around the back of his desk, which was the size of probably a size, in my opinion at the time, the size of the room, huge. I sat on a chair that I needed a step stool to get on because it was so big. The back of it was way over my head. And he said, "Well, what can I do for you?" And so I went through my spiel. You know, the bat boy from Cleveland gets to go on a road trip. The bat boy from New York gets to go on a road trip. The bat boy from Kansas City gets to go on a road trip. He said, "You want to go on a road trip?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like to go on a road trip." He said, "How about Sunday? Can you leave this Sunday?"
Oh,
yes.
right. Wow.
Okay. Yes, okay, sure. Do your parents know about this?
I have to check my schedule.
Yeah,
heck. Yeah. Okay. What?
Yeah. No, my parents know about it. And bring your luggage and be here Sunday. And we leave right from here. We go to the train station and we'll leave right from here. And he said, "Is there anything else?" I said, well, yeah, the bat boy from New York gets $5 a game. The bat boy from Cleveland gets $6 a game. And he said, "You want a raise?" Yeah. He said, "Well, what do you get now?" I said, $2 a game. He said, "How's $4 a game and $6 for double headers?" Now, I could have at least gotten $8 for double headers. I said, Good.
Yeah, I would at that time take it. I would take it.
I felt that I had negotiated tough at that point, and I couldn't get him to budge anher penny, and so I took it.
Is it at that point that you decided to become a lawyer?
Yeah, I was such a good negotiator. What was really funny is that about 25 years later, we were going to a ball game, and I was there with my kids, and my kids each had a friend, and we were going to a White Sox game, and Chuck was walking in front of us with a number of people. And I said, "Oh, there's Chuck Comiskey." And my son's friend said, "Oh, you know him, Mr. Rosich?" And I said, "Yeah, I know him, Frank." He said, "Well, go over and talk to him." And I haven't seen Chuck in 25 years. I'm not going to. No. He, "Oh, come on, Mr. Rosich." And the other kid who my daughter had brought along, Sharon, "Oh, go on, Mr. Rosich, go ahead." So we came up to him, and now I'm in a, the kid's going to say, "I don't know him." So I said, "Hi, Chuck." And he was with 5 other people. He and his wife had 2 other couples. And so he came over, and I said, "John Ross." He said, "I know you, John." And he put his arm around me, pulled me into the group of friends, and he said, he was my bat boy. He came up and asked me for a raise. I think he remembered.
That's beautiful. Yeah. What about Bill Veeck?
Bill Veeck was a real character and a nice man. Bill Veeck is responsible. You'll notice I'm wearing my White Sox World Series ring.
Very good. Beautiful.
Which was designed by Bill Veeck and his wife and given to 40 people got rings. There
Hold
were
it up to the microphone so everybody can see.
Everybody look close in your radios.
Yeah.
There were 25 ball players, five coaches and a manager, obviously, and then that took 30 rings. 10 other rings were distributed to people, and I was one of the 10, along with the 2 Sharkies each getting a ring.
Wow.
So was Vec a great guy? Yeah, Vec took care of the bat boy.
That's beautiful. Well, we'll be back again with more stories from John Rosich, attorney at law, here at the Last Word on WIND 560 AM. This is your place for intelligent talk and a little bit of sports talk thrown in with the intelligence.
Now, back to the show with the brothers that always have the last word, Tom and Dave.
And we are here with fellow attorney John Rosich, and the bat boy for the Chicago White Sox back in the late 50s. And John, go. And John, how about giving? We'd like you to give our listeners your website.
Oh, we have an excellent website. It's they can find it at RandRATTYS. That stands for Rosich and Rosich Attorneys,
or as
all
you
abbreviated. RandRaddies.com or at rosich.com. And if they need some help, we have a great website, offers a lot of information, what people are going through in the process of a divorce, answers frequently asked questions, and gives the procedure and the process of going through a divorce proceeding. Also has a lot of information about wills, trusts, and real estate.
Okay, and we get 1/3. Anybody that comes in and says,
and just remember,
10% off to WIND. If you say
there we go, 10% off WIND listeners. Absolutely,
that's it. Then just
I'm game for that. I'll remember this. All they have to say is, "I heard me on the last word."
That's right.
Remember, where there's a will, there's a relative.
So what
so you were telling us what happened to Ty Cobb letter.
In 1959, we received a letter from Ty Cobb. It was addressed to Al. While the World Series was going on, I wasn't taking care of his mail as diligently as I should have. We went to Los Angeles, and it was too exciting. So at the end of the year, I went through the mail, and I found all the stuff that had come during the World Series, and one of them was a letter from Ty Cobb complaining about the character of the ball player in 1959, how they were pansies and how they he just went off on them. It was unbelievable. Well, I kept that letter and I saved it. I never gave it to Al, didn't tell Al about it. And then in 1979 there was a reunion of the 1959 team to which I was invited. Al was there, Billy Pierce, Jim Landis was there. In fact, when I saw the two of them, Landis kept looking at me and saying to Pierce, can you believe our bat boy's got gray hair? Well, I saw Al, and I said, Al, during the World Series, I never told you about this, but we got a letter from Ty Cobb. And he said, you got a letter from Ty Cobb? I said, yeah. He said, do you still have it? I said, yeah. He said, well, would you send it to me?
Would you say, well,
I did. I did. I sent it to him. I kept a photocopy of it, but I
you should have sent him the photocopy.
I should have sent. Oh yeah, a letter from Ty Cobb's, a whole letter, and just was priceless. And I'm sure that I'm hoping that Al kept it.
I'm sure you did. Well, you talk about the pansy ball players. And I mean,
you kind of referred to it earlier when you're talking about the money.
Yeah, and you're talking about a guy who would sit in the dugout with a file to sharpen his spikes so he could cut you coming in when he was sliding. And you as well are talking about the idea of if the guy in front of you hit a home run when you came up to bat. That next one was chin music, just so you wouldn't get a little overconfident. And now you come close.
And you have a fight.
And you're tossed for throwing it.
But everybody wants to fight. I mean, that was part of the game. You got knocked down, you got pushed back, okay. And then you got back in the batter's box, you got your lesson, and you hit. Now, somebody comes close to you, whether it's intentional or by accident, the guy's running out to the mound to fight, the bench is clear, or the umpire says, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the idea in the last minute that we have over here of your opinion of baseball back then and baseball now.
Well, it's a lot of fun to go to a game now. I can't imagine going to a baseball game. I guess you can do it by going to Wrigley Field, but I can't imagine going to.
So they say.
There's nothing happening.
That's okay.
At Wrigley
those
Field.
50% of our listeners are gone.
Well, the best thing the best thing happening at Wrigley Field are the tank tops. I think. Now they put a screen up there, but I mean, there's just it's always been go to the game and sit on a row above the aisle, and you could see the tank tops walk by. So that was great. But at White Sox Park, it's so exciting. It's thrilling. There's so many things happening. The board, the scoreboard,
right?
Thank
God they kept that.
Yeah, so
good that they kept that.
Baseball is totally different. I enjoy it.
Want to come back some other time?
Love to.
And we'll talk
we gotta
sometime in the
love
middle
to.
of the season, talk some more about 59 baseball in general.
Yeah, maybe about Ozzie Guillen.
We'll talk
Yes,
next week.
Our Patriots.
Yeah.
Next
Our
week,
American Patriot, Ozzie Guillen.
join us next week when our guest is Tom Mirabali. We're going to discuss and dissect Obamacare. So
And-
thank you for listening, and catch you next week on The Last Word.